From iconic leather jackets to bold avant-garde looks, musicians have always been more than just sound makers. TSOS, they're boldest visual pioneers who shape how we see style. In this video, we're diving into the world where music meets fashion, highlighting legendary and modern artists whose wardrobes have become cultural statements. Welcome to Stereo Pedia, also, where sound and style collide in the most unforgettable ways.
Music doesn't just move your soul, it shapes your style. Throughout history, musicians have influenced the way we dress just as much as the way we think and feel. In this episode of Stereo Pedia, we explore how certain artists didn't just follow fashion trends, they created them. These are the true style icons of sound. 1. Fashion as identity. More than just clothes. Extended version. When a musician steps on stage, into a video, or onto a red carpet, what they wear speaks volumes, even before the first note plays. Fashion, in the world of music, is not just about what's trendy or what looks good. It's about declaring identity without words. For many artists, their style is as integral to their persona as their voice, their lyrics, or their sound. Clothing becomes a kind of visual soundtrack, a way to project values, beliefs, moods, and cultural messages. A leather jacket might scream rebellion. A glitter bodysuit might celebrate freedom and flamboyance. A vintage thrift store outfit might signal humility, authenticity, or even protest against commercialism. For musicians, fashion is intentional symbolism. It's how they claim space, demand attention, or express resistance. Think of it like this. Just as a musician carefully crafts a song's lyrics and production, they also curate their wardrobe to reflect who they are and what they stand for. Fashion allows artists to visually match their genre. A metal guitarist might wear all black and chains, while a reggae singer might wear vibrant colors and cultural patterns. Create contrast. Some artists use fashion to challenge expectations, like a rapper wearing high fashion or a pop star choosing streetwear. Signal evolution. Artists often change styles dramatically between albums. A shift in fashion often reflects a shift in sound or message. New album, new look, new identity. But it's deeper than aesthetic. Fashion can also be an act of defiance. When artists go against the grain, dressing androgynously, wearing political slogans, or embracing cultural roots, they challenge mainstream ideas of beauty, gender, and identity. In this way, fashion becomes activism. It becomes a voice for the voiceless, a uniform for the unheard. Let's also not forget the emotional power of fashion. For many musicians, what they wear gives them confidence. It's armor for the stage. It transforms nerves into presence. And for fans, seeing their favorite artists look can feel like permission to be bold, to be different, to dress however they feel inside. That's why the influence of musicians on fashion is so lasting. It's not just about setting trends, it's about setting emotional tones. They're not just showing us what looks cool. They're showing us how to live louder, truer, freer. So yes, fashion is far more than clothes. In the world of music, it's a second language. A form of visual songwriting. A mirror of the soul. 2. David Bowie. The shapeshifter of style. Extended version. Few artists in history have used fashion as powerfully or as provocatively as David Bowie. He wasn't just a musician. He was a visual force, a walking art installation, a shapeshifter who redefined what it meant to be seen. Bowie's style legacy isn't about one look. It's about his bold refusal to be boxed into any one identity. From the moment he burst into public consciousness, he used fashion as a way to question, to challenge, and to transform himself again and again. His most iconic transformation was perhaps the creation of Ziggy Stardust, a glitter-covered, androgynous alien rock star with a fiery red mullet and lightning bolt makeup. This wasn't just a stage persona, it was a fashion revolution. At a time when gender norms were rigid, Bowie blurred the lines. Sequin jumpsuits, metallic boots, Japanese kabuki-inspired robes. He wore it all with unapologetic flair. Ziggy wasn't just an act. It was a message. Be who you are, even if the world doesn't understand it yet. But Bowie didn't stop there. He moved on to the thin white duke, a cold, stylish figure in sharp suits, slicked back hair, and minimalist, noir elegance. This version of Bowie whispered something different. Even the outsider can master sophistication. Again, the fashion told its own story, one of distance, identity, and inner conflict. Bowie's looks were never just about looking good. They were conceptual, political, emotional. He was inspired by everything from avant-garde theater to street fashion, from science fiction to Japanese culture, and he wove those influences into his clothing like threads in a tapestry. He worked with visionary designers like Kansai Yamamoto, whose theatrical, oversized costumes became part of Bowie's larger-than-life imagery. Bowie made it clear, music and fashion are not separate, they are collaborators. His album covers looked like fashion magazines. His music videos felt like fashion films. His live shows were as much runway as they were concert. And the most powerful thing?
He was always ahead of his time.
In a world still catching up to gender fluidity, Bowie had already lived it. While others feared being misunderstood, he invited confusion and turned it into curiosity. He made weird beautiful, flamboyance cool, and self-expression fashionable. David Bowie didn't just follow trends. He invented new worlds of style, then left them behind to create another. Every transformation wasn't just a costume change. It was a challenge to society's rules about masculinity, identity, and art itself. Today, his influence lives on in artists like Harry Styles, Janelle Monáe, and Lady Gaga. Every time a musician dares to wear something too much or too different, they're walking through a door Bowie opened decades ago. So when we say he was a style icon, we're not just talking about clothes. We're talking about courage, about creativity, about turning your body into a message. David Bowie didn't just dress differently. He dressed like he belonged to the future, and somehow brought that future to the present. 3. Prince, royalty in purple and lace, extended version. If David Bowie cracked open the door for gender-fluid fashion and music, Prince kicked it off its hinges, while wearing heels, lace gloves, and a purple velvet coat. Prince didn't just dress with style. He dressed with intent, mystery, and unapologetic sensuality. His fashion was a declaration. You can't define me, and you can't look away. From the beginning, Prince blurred boundaries. Masculine and feminine. Sacred and erotic. Rock and funk. His music crossed genres, and his wardrobe did the same. One day he was in a ruffled blouse and skin-tight pants. The next, a sequin jumpsuit with sheer panels and eyeliner sharper than any lyric he ever wrote. But he didn't wear these things for shock value. He wore them because they were him. His clothes were an expression of a deeply personal, fearless creativity. Prince didn't conform to mainstream masculinity. He challenged it. He wore high heels, not as a joke, not as a gimmick, but as powerful royal armor. He wore lace and silk because he wanted to, and he looked unstoppable doing it. And then, of course, there's purple. Purple wasn't just a color to Prince. It became his visual signature, his mood, his atmosphere. Purple Rain wasn't just a song, it was a whole aesthetic. He turned purple into a symbol of elegance, magic, and sensuality. His purple trench coats, purple guitars, purple lighting, even his custom-designed purple motorcycle, it all fed into an unmistakable brand of mystery and majesty. Prince's fashion wasn't just about flair, it was deeply individual. He designed many of his own clothes or worked closely with designers to ensure they reflected his one-of-a-kind vision. He didn't dress to fit in with trends. In fact, he ignored them completely. While others chased fashion, Prince bent it to his will. He also pushed back against the music industry's attempts to box him in. From the way he dressed to the way he refused to label his gender expression or sexuality, Prince lived by one rule: freedom. And he showed others how to claim that freedom through fashion. For his fans, especially Black artists, queer creatives, and outsiders, Prince became a beacon of boldness. He proved that you could be wildly expressive and wildly successful, that you could be soft, sexy, strange, and spiritual all at once. And you didn't have to trade one for the other. Even in public appearances, Prince made fashion political. Whether it was showing up to awards shows in a bright yellow jumpsuit with his buttocks cut out, or appearing on stage wrapped in nothing but a trench coat and confidence, his looks were statements about ownership, of body, of art, of identity. And yet, despite the drama of his fashion, it never overshadowed the music.
It amplified it.
The sensuality of his wardrobe matched the funk in his grooves. The elegance of his silhouette matched the precision of his guitar solos. Prince wasn't dressing up for attention. He was dressing up to express something deeper than words could say. So when we talk about musicians as fashion trendsetters, we must recognize Prince didn't just wear outfits. He wore revolution. He took lace, leather, and lavender and turned them into symbols of liberation. In the kingdom of music fashion, he didn't borrow the crown. He made his own, painted it purple, and wore it with a smirk. 4. Kanye West, streetwear to high fashion, extended version. When we talk about musicians turning fashion into a movement, few names spark more debate and influence than Kanye West. Love him or loathe him, one thing is undeniable. Kanye didn't just follow fashion trends. He rewrote the rules. He took streetwear from the sidewalk and placed it on the front row of Fashion Week. Early in his career, Kanye was already breaking molds. While most rappers leaned into oversized chains and flashy labels, Kanye showed up in preppy polos, backpacks, and shutter shades. His look was clean, unconventional, and, at the time, completely against hip-hop's visual grain. But it caught on.
Fast.
As his music evolved, so did his style. He began blending urban aesthetics with high fashion ideals. From Da Vinci to Balmain, he wore designer pieces not as accessories, but as armor for artistic identity. Kanye didn't want to look expensive. He wanted to look visionary. Then came Yeezy, his fashion label that changed everything. Launched in collaboration with Adidas, the Yeezy brand didn't just produce sneakers. It created a cultural earthquake. Earth-toned hoodies, military-inspired outerwear, oversized fits, monochrome palettes. What looked, at first, like dystopian survival, where soon became the uniform of a generation. And those shoes? The Yeezy Boosts became instant icons, selling out in seconds and reshaping the global sneaker industry. Kanye had done the impossible. He made sneakers luxury. He fused hip-hop influence with haute couture sensibilities, and suddenly, streetwear was couture. But it wasn't just about clothes. Kanye's fashion was tied to his worldview. His minimalist designs weren't just a trend. They were statements about stripping down distractions, finding purity in form, and rejecting excess. His clothes weren't flashy. They were deliberately muted, as if to say, I don't need bright colors to stand out. I am the color. Even his Sunday service outfits, all beige robes, choir garments, neutral tones, felt like fashion sermons. He used fashion to support his shift in musical direction, from brash bravado to spiritual introspection. Again, his style mirrored his sound. Kanye also disrupted fashion's hierarchy. He openly criticized gatekeeping in the luxury fashion world, called out elitism, and demanded a seat at the table, not as a guest, but as a creator. When he said, I'm not a rapper, I'm a designer, it wasn't ego, it was ambition. And eventually, fashion took him seriously. Yeezy walked the runways. Collaborations with Gap and Balenciaga followed. And suddenly, every brand wanted in on Kanye's vision. But perhaps Kanye's greatest influence lies not in what he wore, but in what he empowered others to wear. He made it cool to wear sweatpants to a fashion show. He made baggy silhouettes feel elevated. He inspired a wave of fashion minimalism that extended beyond music into Instagram, retail shelves, and even how brands advertised. So what makes Kanye West a true fashion trendsetter? It's not just the Yeezys. It's not just the neutral-toned hoodies. It's the fact that he blurred the line between celebrity and designer, between streetwear and luxury, between fashion and philosophy. He changed the question from, what are you wearing? To, why are you wearing it? Because Kanye didn't just create clothes. He created a movement and made the fashion world walk to his beat. 5. Lady Gaga, Shock, Art and Reinvention, Extended Version. When Lady Gaga first appeared on the pop scene in the late 2000s, the world wasn't ready for what she brought. Not just the music, though that was bold and unapologetic, but the fashion. Gaga didn't dress to impress. She dressed to unsettle, to inspire, to provoke, and to transform. For her, fashion wasn't an accessory to fame. It was a form of radical self-expression. Her early looks were already legendary. Crystal-encrusted masks, hair shaped like bows, outfits made of bubbles, feathers, or plastic. She arrived at award shows not to blend in, but to turn heads, raise eyebrows, and start conversations. Her fashion choices weren't always pretty by conventional standards, but they were always intentional. Because Gaga's style has never been about fitting in. It's about breaking the mold. The most infamous example? The meat dress. At the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards, Gaga walked the red carpet wearing a dress made entirely of raw beef. To some, it seemed like a publicity stunt. But to Gaga, it was a political statement, a protest against the military's don't ask, don't tell policy, and a symbol of bodily autonomy. This is key to understanding her fashion. It's not always about glamour. It's about making meaning through shock, surrealism, and symbolism. Gaga treats fashion as performance art. Every outfit is part of a larger narrative. Whether she's walking in 10-inch platform heels or draped in elaborate haute couture, she's communicating something deeper: pain, freedom, queerness, power, or transformation. She's not wearing clothes, she's embodying archetypes. But Lady Gaga's fashion isn't only about shock. It's also about reinvention. After her early years as a pop provocateur, she began exploring new dimensions of herself. With the release of Joanne, she traded in latex and lace for pink wide-brim hats, denim jackets, and simplicity. It was a raw, vulnerable era, both musically and visually. Then, during her A Star is Born phase, she embraced old Hollywood elegance, vintage silhouettes, diamonds, and dramatic gowns that nodded to the golden age of cinema. It was Gaga showing the world, I can play every role. Pop alien, country poet, movie star. She reinvented herself with every chapter, and fashion was always the vehicle. And yet, through every transformation, there is one thread that never breaks: authenticity through artistry. Gaga doesn't chase trends, she creates worlds. She collaborates with visionary designers like Alexander McQueen, Nicola Formichetti, and Donatella Versace to push the limits of what fashion can be. And she uses her platform to elevate fashion as a force of freedom, not conformity. Lady Gaga also brought avant-garde fashion into the mainstream. Suddenly, wearing something strange or bold wasn't too much. It was powerful. It was fearless. She gave permission to millions of fans, especially LGBTQ+ youth, to express themselves loudly, colorfully, and unapologetically. Her looks became more than magazine covers. They became moments. Moments of liberation. Moments of defiance. Moments of transformation. Because Gaga's fashion is never passive. It demands attention. It asks questions. And it dares you to look beyond the surface. So, what makes Lady Gaga a fashion trendsetter? It's not just the wild costumes or the couture. It's her ability to turn fashion into a living, breathing language of personal truth. She doesn't just wear clothes. She performs with them. Lady Gaga once said, "I'm not a woman. I'm not a man. I'm not a human. I'm a piece of art." And through her fashion, she proves it again and again. 6. Harry Styles. Retro revival with modern fluidity. Extended version. When Harry Styles stepped out of his boy band image and into his solo artistry, something remarkable happened. Not just musically, but stylistically. What began as a clean-cut, pop-friendly wardrobe gradually evolved into a bold, expressive, and deeply thoughtful exploration of fashion. Harry didn't just find his voice. He found his visual identity, and he made it fluid, fearless, and free. Harry's fashion journey is a love letter to the past, yet it speaks profoundly to the present. With every appearance, he pulls from decades gone by: 70s flared trousers, 60s mod suits, 80s oversized knits, and reshapes them through a modern, gender-inclusive lens. The result is what many call retro revival, but it's more than a trend. It's a quiet rebellion wrapped in velvet and pearls. One of Harry's most powerful fashion statements came when he graced the cover of Vogue in 2020, wearing a powder blue Gucci dress paired with a tailored black blazer. It was historic, not just because he was the first solo male to appear on the cover, but because he did it while wearing traditionally feminine clothing with complete confidence. No apologies. No irony. Just expression. That's what makes Harry Styles a modern trendsetter. He doesn't wear these pieces to shock. He wears them to say, "This is also mine." Dresses aren't just for women. Pearls aren't just for grandmothers. Softness is not weakness. And masculinity is not defined by rigidity. His looks mix the soft and the strong. Delicate lace shirts under bold leather jackets. High-waisted trousers with sheer blouses. Painted nails and tattoos. His fashion walks the line between elegant and edgy and refuses to choose. And through it all, he maintains a grounded, approachable energy. He's not dressing up as a character. He's revealing more of himself, piece by piece. Harry also collaborates with designers who understand his vision. Most notably, Alessandro Michele, the former creative director of Gucci, helped shape Harry's high-fashion narrative with looks that blend vintage European tailoring with romantic, sometimes theatrical elements. Together, they've turned Harry's public appearances into moments of visual poetry. But perhaps what's most striking about Harry Styles is his comfort and contrast. He can headline Coachella in a sparkly jumpsuit one night, then stroll through London in a cardigan and pearls the next. It's not performative, it's personal. It's about fluidity, not fashion rules. And fans have followed. Across the globe, young people, especially men, are feeling empowered to explore style beyond traditional gender lines. They're embracing florals, flowing silhouettes, earrings, and softness, all thanks to Harry's quiet example. He's given them something far more lasting than fashion advice. He's given them permission to explore who they are, without fear. Harry once said, "What women wear, what men wear. For me, it's not a question of that. If I see a nice shirt and it's for women, I'm going to buy it." That mindset, simple, fearless, and unfiltered, is what makes him a fashion icon for this era. So yes, Harry Styles wears the past. But he does it while rewriting the future. One blouse, one boot, one boundary-breaking look at a time. 7. Billie Eilish. Baggy, bold, and unbothered, extended version. In a music industry obsessed with image, youth, and the female form, Billie Eilish emerged like a quiet revolution, wrapped in layers of oversized streetwear, bold colors, and a glare that said, "Don't look at me that way." From the start, Billie's style was loud in shape and color, but deeply intentional in meaning. She made headlines for not showing her body. In an era of crop tops and hyper-polished pop personas, she wore baggy hoodies, giant jackets, and shorts that reached her shins. And she wore them not to hide, but to protect her autonomy. In interviews, Billie explained her choices clearly. Nobody can have an opinion because they haven't seen what's underneath. It was a powerful statement. A teenage girl refusing to be commodified. Her fashion wasn't about hiding herself. It was about reclaiming control over how her body was perceived. Her look became instantly iconic. Acid green roots, flame-printed pants, monochrome Gucci sets, logo-covered ensembles, and sunglasses that always seemed one size too big. She dressed like she was from another dimension, one where confidence had nothing to do with curves and everything to do with presence. What made it even more powerful was how comfortable she looked. Billie didn't just wear these outfits for the cameras. She lived in them. Her style felt effortless, but it carried deep emotional weight. It was a form of quiet protest against the hypervisual demands placed on young women in the spotlight. And fans, especially young girls, noticed. Her look became a shield and a mirror. She was protecting herself, and by doing so, she protected others. But Billie's fashion story didn't end with hoodies and Jordans. In 2021, she stunned the world with her transformation on the cover of British Vogue. Gone was the oversized streetwear. In its place, corsets, lingerie, platinum blonde curls, and an entirely new color palette. Some called it a contradiction, but Billie called it evolution. She didn't abandon her past. She expanded it. And she made one thing very clear. It's all about what makes you feel good. Whether that's a sweatshirt 2 sizes too big or a satin corset, the power is in the choice. Billie showed that feminism and fashion freedom go hand in hand, that you can reject the male gaze and still enjoy dressing up on your own terms. This duality, baggy and bold, soft and strong, is at the heart of Billie Eilish's fashion impact. She doesn't dress to be liked. She dresses to feel authentic. And in doing so, she's inspired a generation to define beauty for themselves. Even her collaborations reflect this philosophy. Her work with brands like Nike and Gucci has focused on sustainability, inclusivity, and comfort-first design. She's not just wearing fashion, she's shaping it. And through it all, she remains unbothered, unapologetic, uninterested in pleasing the masses. And that is what makes her a trendsetter, not just in style, but in spirit. Billie Eilish didn't just bring oversized back into fashion. She made it personal armor. She made it a movement. And she taught millions that sometimes the boldest fashion statement is the one that says, "You don't get to decide who I am." 8. BTS, from K-pop to couture, extended version. When the world thinks of BTS, the first thing that comes to mind might be their music, the addictive melodies, the flawless choreography, the thunderous stadiums filled with singing fans. But there's another side to BTS that's just as powerful and influential: fashion. This 7-member South Korean group didn't just climb the charts. They walked boldly into the world of high fashion, transforming from vibrant K-pop rookies into global style icons. BTS didn't just wear clothes. They told stories with them. They redefined what boy band fashion could look like in the 21st century. In their early days, BTS leaned into playful, youth-driven streetwear, graphic tees, snapbacks, sneakers, and hip-hop-inspired silhouettes. But even then, their fashion had intention. Each member expressed his own personality: RM's thoughtful structure, V's vintage flair, Jungkook's edgy simplicity, and J-Hope's colorful creativity. Their stylists didn't force them into uniformity. Instead, they celebrated individuality within the group, a rare move in pop group presentation. As BTS grew, so did their fashion sensibilities. They evolved from vibrant streetwear to polished elegance and runway-ready ensembles, seamlessly blending K-pop's expressive aesthetics with the minimalist refinement of luxury brands. By the time Love Yourself and Map of the Soul came out, BTS were already front-row regulars at Fashion Week, wearing Dior, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Givenchy, not just as clients, but as partners in vision. In 2021, BTS made fashion history when Louis Vuitton announced them as global brand ambassadors. They weren't just modeling the clothes, they were part of the story. In fact, they appeared in Virgil Abloh's men's fall-winter collection film, not just walking but performing in a surreal dreamscape filled with metaphor and motion. It wasn't a fashion commercial. It was art in motion, and BTS was the heart of it. But what sets BTS apart as fashion trendsetters isn't just their access to designer clothing. It's how they use fashion as a form of cultural diplomacy and personal empowerment. In South Korea, traditional gender expectations still carry weight. But BTS challenges that. Soft fabrics, ruffles, earrings, bold hair colors, and even skirts have all made their way into BTS's looks, especially in photo shoots and music videos. They've helped destigmatize fluid fashion in Korean pop culture, showing that vulnerability, beauty, and strength are not tied to rigid gender norms. They've worn hanbok-inspired outfits with modern tailoring. They've fused Eastern traditional wear with Western fashion houses, creating a truly global aesthetic, one that honors their roots while embracing the world. And their fans, known as ARMY, follow every step, every look, every stylistic shift. BTS has inspired countless fashion trends worldwide, from oversized cardigans and dual-tone hair to layered chains and luxury sneakers. Their impact is so wide-reaching that brands see a direct spike in sales just from a member wearing a piece casually on a live stream. Beyond aesthetics, BTS uses fashion as a way to reinforce their message of self-love and individuality. From their UN speeches to their lyrics, to their album visuals, everything is connected. Fashion becomes not just something they wear, it becomes something they believe in. So, what makes BTS fashion trendsetters? It's not just that they wear designer brands. It's that they wear confidence, culture, and creativity. They've made the world see K-pop not just as a musical genre, but as a visual and fashion-forward movement. They didn't wait for the West to invite them into the world of couture. They brought their own runway, and the world followed their steps. 9. The cultural ripple effect, extended version. When a musician steps out in an unforgettable outfit, whether it's Prince in purple lace, Billie Eilish in head-to-toe streetwear, or BTS in tailored Dior suits, they're not just making a fashion statement. They're setting off a cultural ripple effect. That moment, that look, that vibe, it doesn't stay on stage. It spreads. It influences. It redefines culture itself. Musicians hold a unique position in pop culture. They don't just entertain us. They shape the emotional and visual landscapes of generations. Their fashion choices aren't limited to red carpets or concert stages. They seep into music videos, album artwork, press tours, and even social media posts. And from there, those choices ripple outward to fans, designers, brands, and even political movements. Let's break it down. Busts and silhouette fans first. The most immediate ripple starts with the fanbase. When an artist like Harry Styles wears a pearl necklace or Billie Eilish drops a new custom Nike collab, their fans don't just notice, they respond. They recreate the look. They search online for dupes. They change their wardrobe, their hair, even their sense of confidence. What a musician wears gives fans permission to explore their own identities. It becomes a tool for self-expression. Shopping bags, then come the brands. Fashion designers and marketing teams watch music trends closely. A look that goes viral, on stage or on Instagram, often sparks a shift in consumer behavior. Designers take note. Suddenly, runways start reflecting the same streetwear silhouettes, soft gender-fluid tailoring, or vintage revivals that artists introduced months before. Retail brands rush to mass-produce similar items, creating whole fashion waves that originated from a single artist's daring look. Globe with Meridian's pop culture mirrors it. TV shows, movies, influencers, and TikTok creators pick up the aesthetic. A music video becomes a visual reference. A single outfit becomes a meme or mood board. Think of how Lady Gaga's looks inspired everything from Halloween costumes to magazine covers, or how BTS's soft power fashion redefined masculine beauty standards worldwide. The ripples don't stop at fashion. They spread across media, art, and identity. There's also a psychological ripple. When a global artist dresses in a way that challenges gender norms, breaks stereotypes, or reclaims cultural heritage, it expands what's possible in the collective imagination. It normalizes difference. It empowers change. When young people see someone like Prince wear high heels with confidence, or Billie Eilish resist objectification through fashion, it teaches them that style is a personal weapon, a tool to express values, boundaries, and dreams. Megaphone social and political movements are also affected. Artists like Beyoncé, Kendrick Lamar, and even Harry Styles have used fashion to align with social messages, wearing Black Lives Matter gear, feminist slogans, or styles rooted in cultural history. These choices send powerful signals and unite audiences under shared causes. Fashion becomes a visual protest, a symbol of solidarity. And finally, the fashion industry adapts. Collaborations between musicians and fashion houses, like Rihanna with Fenty, Kanye with Yeezy, or BTS with Louis Vuitton, reshape the entire business model. These partnerships show that musicians aren't just walking billboards. They're co-creators, shaping collections, campaigns, and design philosophies. Musicians have become tastemakers, not just in music, but in how we define modern luxury, streetwear, and even sustainability. So, when we talk about the cultural ripple effect of musicians' fashion, we're really talking about transformation. A single look can spark millions of conversations. It can change how people dress, how brands design, how artists express themselves, and how society evolves. Because fashion, when worn with intention by a powerful voice, becomes more than style. It becomes a signal, a movement, a mirror of who we are and who we're becoming. Fashion as amplifier of sound. Musicians who set fashion trends understand one truth: style amplifies message. The way they dress communicates their art, their politics, their dreams, and their defiance, without needing a lyric. Their clothes don't just cover their bodies, they carry meaning. So next time you see a music video or stage performance, pay attention to the threads. Behind the sequins, hoodies, lace, or leather, there's a deeper story being told. One that might just change how the world dresses tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to Stereo Pedia. If you enjoyed this journey into the stylish side of sound, don't forget to like, follow, and share. Stay tuned for more stories where music meets culture. Until then, stay loud, stay proud, and stay stylish. Let me know if you'd like this adapted into a visual script for a YouTube video or short-form reel.